right, we know how to multiply binomials, right? We just multiply, we used FOIL, first, outside, inside, last. So if we do that for this one, we get 2x squared minus 6x plus x minus 3. So it's 2x squared minus 5x minus 3. So we know how to go from the green to the red, but what we're doing now is we're trying to go from the red to the green. So I'm given this and I need to find this. And we have all these different little tricks and things, but I feel like the easiest one to do, and it's not really a trick, is called the area model, where we're going to set it up and we're going to figure out what we had to have multiplied by to get here. So to show you that, I need to show you first how to multiply with the area model. So if I was going to multiply with these two factors with the area model, I would draw myself a box and I would put the factors here, 2x plus 1 and x minus 3. And really, it's just a way to set up exactly what we've always done in FOIL. It helps us multiply the first, the outside, the inside, and the last. So here we get 2x squared plus x minus 6x minus 3. So it's the exact same thing we got with FOIL, just in a little bit different format, right? And then we add them together and we get the red equation. Now, what if I gave you this and I said we need to find what went inside there? That's what we're going to do today. So we'll start with this one. And if you notice, we're given this equation, and we know that when we multiplied these two binomials together, we had to get 4 terms, but I only have 3 terms here. So I know that when I multiply the first 2 terms, I'm going to get this first term, right? When I multiply those two together, I get 3x squared. And when I multiply the last 2 terms together, I get 5 down in here. The thing that I don't know is I don't know what these two are, because I know that these two added together to be negative 16, but I don't know anything else. So we can organize our thoughts here in a little x, and we can say, all right, I know that the two of them, when I added them together, equal negative 16x. I know that. Well, the interesting thing that we also know about factors is that these two factors have to multiply to the same thing that these two do. So these two multiply to 15x squared. So these two, when we multiply them together, have to equal 15x squared. So I have to think of what are 2 things that add to negative 16x but multiply to 15x squared? Well, what about negative 15x and negative x? Let's see, if I multiply those together, I get positive 15x squared. And if I add them together, I get negative 16x. So those work. So I know that the 2 numbers that are in these 2 boxes, the 2 numbers that existed in here are negative 15x and negative x. Because when I add those together, I end up with my final product. Okay. Now what I have to do is have to just figure out what my factors had to be to get me there. Okay, so I need to get 3x squared. So the only way to get 3x squared is 3x times x. And I can't put the 3x up here because then it wouldn't multiply to negative x. So I know for a fact that this factor has to be 3x. And then this has to be x. So I know to get 3x squared, I multiplied the 3x times the x. Now if this is x here, what did I have to multiply it by here to get to negative 1? It's kind of like a puzzle. Well, to negative x, I just said the answer, negative 1. Okay? And if I have negative 1 here, what did I have to multiply it by to get to positive 5? Well, I'd have to multiply it by negative 5, wouldn't I? And then would that work? 3x times negative 5 does, in fact, equal negative 15x. So if I multiplied x minus 5 times 3x minus 1, sure enough, I do get 3x squared minus 15x minus x plus 5, which simplifies to this whole quadratic here. So we can say 3x squared minus 16x plus 5 equals 3x minus 1 times x minus 5. It's just another way of writing this function. And the reason we need to know how to do this is because it helps us find the zeros. But these functions are the same function, just in a different form. Let's take a look at another one. Here I have 4x squared plus 5x minus 6. Whew, if I can talk. Okay, so we know when I multiply the first two terms together, I'm going to get 4x squared. And when I multiply the last two terms together, I get negative 6. I just have to figure out what two terms did I add together to get positive 5. Positive 5x. So I need them, when they add together, I need them to add to 5x. But they have to multiply to the same thing that these two multiply to, which is negative 24x squared. So what two numbers, let's see, 24 has factors of 6 and 4, which don't work, but it also has factors of 8 and 3. So that would work, right? If I had 8x and negative 3x, those sure enough would work. They would multiply to what we need to, and they would add to what we need to. So I know that one of these was 8x and one of these is negative 3x. Okay, those two added together to get to here, to 5x. Now I have to figure out what my factors are. Okay, 4x squared. I could multiply 2x times 2x, or I could multiply 4x times 1x. And I have to decide which one would work here. Well, if I put 2x up here, I really couldn't get to negative 3x, could I? So these have to be 4x and 1x. So this has to be a 4x, and this has to be an x. That would give me 4x squared. And then if I need it to multiply by this to get to negative 3x, I can multiply that by negative 3, and that would give it to me, right? And then I need this and this to multiply to 8x, so that's got to be a 2. And let's see, does that work? Negative 3 times positive 2 is negative 6. So yeah, my factors are x plus 2 times 4x minus 3. And that equals our original function. That's the same as 4x squared plus 5x minus 6. Just written in a different form. All right. Last one. We are looking for something that would multiply to 2x squared minus 7x plus 6. So we know that these are going to multiply. The first two terms are going to multiply to our first term. The last two terms are going to multiply to our last term. And then these two added together are going to give us negative 7. So we have to figure out what two numbers can I add together to get to negative 7x, but would multiply to 12x squared, because they have to multiply to the same thing as the other boxes do. Okay, so the factors of 12 are 6 and 2, which don't work, 12 and 1, which don't work, and 3 and 4, which do work, right? So negative 3x and negative 4x, they're going to add to negative 7x, multiply to positive 12x. So those go right here. Negative 3x goes, it doesn't really matter which one goes where, it'll affect which factor ends up on top, but you can put these in either order. I could have put negative 4x here and negative 3x here. Totally fine. Okay, so now I figure out what numbers multiply to 2x squared. Well, that would be 2x times x. That would give me 2x squared, wouldn't it? And then this has to be negative 2 so that I could get negative 4. And then this has to be negative 3, and does that work? Yeah, when I multiply this, I get 2x squared minus 3x minus 4x plus 6. So here are my factors. So I can rewrite this, and I can say, let's see, 2x squared minus 7x plus 6 equals 2x minus 3 and x minus 2. Just like we had right there. And that's it. This is factoring with the area model. This is called the area model. It's actually really easy once you get the hang of it. It's not a trick. It's really just backward design of starting with something you already know and then planning backwards and figuring out what the original things had to be. So hopefully this was helpful.